I'll use this one. Good evening and welcome to the Holmdel Planning Board. Today is Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. Call to order. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, New Jersey SA 10:4-10, and the regulations governing remote meetings, NJAC 5:34-15, I hereby announce that adequate notice and electronic notice of this meeting was provided in a notice dated January 9th, 2024, that was sent to the Asbury Park Press, Two River Times, posted on the bulletin board and on the main access door to Town Hall, filed in the clerk's office, and posted on the township's website, www.holmdeltownship.com. Roll call, please.
Ms. Martin? Ms. Martin is absent. Mr. Ackerson?
Here.
Mr. Emma?
Here.
Mr. Fagan?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Ms. LaMountain?
Here.
Mr. Mann?
Here.
Ms. Pelosis?
Here.
Mr. Silberman? Mr. Silberman is absent. Ms. Polavina?
Here.
Mr. Bell? Mr. Bell is absent.
Okay, can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, everyone? Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to honor military, police, and our first responders. Thank you. Okay. Samantha. We're going to be seating Samantha for Rocco. No. Courtney, are we seating Samantha for Rocco and Providuto?
I would do it for Scott,
For Scott? Okay.
because he has his own designee.
Oh, that's right, and she's not here either.
That's-
She's more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Please come up, Samantha. Come sit next to me.
Got it.
You're thin enough. Take your time. Okay. First item is completeness waivers. Item number 1, PB 2024-A, Ocean State Job Lot, Holmdel Plaza, 2145, State Highway 35, Block 59, Lot 8, Zone C-1, amended preliminary and final site plan. Applicant seeks an amended preliminary and final major site plan approval for indoor and outdoor renovations to an existing 180,540 square feet vacant tenant space within the shopping center, along with associated site improvements, including reconfiguration of the loading area, removal of an existing parking space to be used as a shopping cart corral, outdoor storage of goods in front of the building, and a new facade sign. The proposed retail use is a permitted use in the C-1 zone. According to our board's engineers, he recommends that we received a letter, and he recommends that we grant the waivers. How does the board feel? Hello? Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Ackerson?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mr. Fagan?
Yes.
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
Mr. Emma?
Yes.
Mr. King? Yes. Ms. Pelosis?
Yes.
Ms. Polavina?
Yes.
Before we begin the second part of this application, does any board members have any conflicts with this application? No? No board members have any conflicts. Let us begin. Item number 2, PB 2024-A, Ocean State Job Lot, Holmdel Plaza, 2145, State Highway 35, Block 59, Lot 8, Zone C-1, amended preliminary and final major site plan. Applicant seeks an amended preliminary and final major site plan approval for indoor and outdoor renovations to an existing 180,540 square foot vacant tenant space within the shopping center, along with associated site improvements, including reconfiguration of the loading area, removal of an existing parking space to be used as a shopping cart corral, outdoor storage of goods in front of the building, and a new facade sign. The proposed retail use is a permitted use in the C-1 zone. Hi,
Good evening. For the record, Mark Policastro.
can you spell your last name, please?
If you turn the switch underneath on, it'll stay on, otherwise you have to push it off.
Mr. Policastro, can you please spell your name?
Policastro, Mark, M-A-R-C.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. We have several witnesses. We'd like to get right to it. Mr. Flegger, our notice is in order
Yes, everything's in order.
for the record? Great.
No conflicts, all the escrows are good?
Excellent. Mr. O'Connor, good
Yep.
evening.
Good evening. Thank you
Please-
so,
Please state your name for the record,
okay,
and we'll have you sworn.
awesome. Mark O'Connor, Senior Real Estate Manager for Ocean State Job Lot.
Okay, we have to swear him in.
Yes. What, you have about, how many witnesses you gonna have tonight?
We have probably one too many. We have 5.
So we just ask if we can swear them all in right now,
Well,
and when
please
they come
stand.
up, they can, and we'll swear our board members too. So if everyone just raises their right hand, you all, does everyone swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
For the record, the 5 applicants, witnesses, and the board's professionals have been sworn in, so
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Flegger.
just do their credentials as you call each one.
Excellent. Please state your name for the record,
Mark O'Connor,
and your title, please.
Senior Real Estate Manager, Ocean State Job Lot.
And what is your role in this application?
My role is for site selection for Ocean State Job Lot. For those who don't know, Ocean State Job Lot, we're a discount retailer. We sell name brand products at discounts. If you were to walk in our store today, you're going to see that we're rolling out lawn and garden, patio, pool, beach chairs, beach supplies, sunscreen, things like that, all at discount prices. This is going to be, we're going to be taking over the Steinmart location. I think what I love about Ocean State is you can get, patio supplies, umbrellas and things like that. And then you're also going to get, deals that once you find what you were looking for, you may walk out with 5 other items. So, we're a great company. What separates us from different companies is we like to give back locally. So a lot of what we do in charitable work goes directly into the communities in which we have locations in. We even give our associates the opportunity to choose a local foundation that they would like to donate money to. We've donated over 100 million square meals to local communities and food banks. My favorite that we do is we do a buy and give, where you can walk into our store and you buy a coat, and we will give you a discount for the value of that coat, and that coat will go directly to a local veteran. So we loved Holmdel. When it came out to the location, we loved the area and the people.
Why do you love this site for this use?
So we love it. We think there's a lot of people who own homes and rent and are looking for discounts. A lot of lawns who, take care of them, and a lot of patios. And we'd like to have the people of Holmdel save some money.
Great. Thank you. That's all we have for this witness.
Does the board have any questions for this witness?
I'm not sure who to ask, but I'll start with you. Do you sell food?
We do. Yep. We sell non-perishable food. We sell things like Bob's Red Mill, name brand products, McCormick's spices, things like that. We don't have any refrigeration in our stores, so we typically can get along very well with grocery stores, but You know, we have a lot of discounts on food for our customers.
Your other locations, specifically in New Jersey or what other states?
Yeah, we're New England, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania.
Where are you in New Jersey?
Our closest store is going to be Freehold, New Jersey. We're also in Princeton, New Jersey, Franklin Park, Sparta, New Jersey, South Plainfield, and I feel like I'm missing one. And so we're looking to expand, and we're really excited about the opportunity to come into this market.
Is this the same store that was on the border of Red Bank and Shrewsbury?
Yep.
And what happened there?
So we had a very successful location there, and unfortunately, the landlord had wanted to go a different direction, and we really tried to stay. And we've been trying to come back ever since, because we've been getting emails from people locally who are traveling, 30, 40 minutes to our stores. So we're just happy that we can come back and save them some money on gas.
Any other discussion or questions?
Mark,
Thank you.
Just for the record, what was your title?
Senior Real Estate Manager.
Thank you. Right,
Will you go to the public at the end, or?
We're probably at the end, right?
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Mark.
Good evening.
Good evening.
State your name for the record.
Amy Rotundo,
Spell it, please.
Rotondo and
And-
AMY.
And again, your role in this application, please.
I am the district team leader for the stores in New Jersey and on Long Island.
You have a brief presentation in terms of operations at this site, is that correct?
Absolutely. So, from the operational side, we're talking about shopping cart corrals. We tend to have 2 to 3 shopping cart corrals in the parking lot, approximately 6 spaces back. They don't take up a lot of space. It's one spot, straight across, parallel across the parking lot. Inside the building, we typically have 30 to 40 employees at any given time, depending on what the volume of our store is. Our stores in New Jersey are around $5 million. That's our average. So it's not like, a Walmart kind of a store. It's a smaller store. Our back room, so we were talking about the loading dock. We tend to go to the side of having a truck height dock in the back. The other option would be a lift dock, which adds complexity to the team unloading the trucks. And actually, we crunched numbers. I kind of went through with some of the operational people in my company. We're doing backroom resets right now, so it was the perfect time for this. Our typical truck takes anywhere from 17 to 20 minutes to unload when you have a dock height, truck dock. When you have a lift, it adds about 35 to 45 more minutes on top of that time because it adds safety concerns. So they have to take each pallet off. Only one person can unload a truck at a time, where when you have the truck height dock, 2 people can unload a truck, so it takes a lot less time. When they're unloading on a lift, they have to secure the load, they have to put chains in place, they have to walk down, unload it, bring it back down. So it adds about 3 minutes onto the unload time. So it goes from 50 seconds per pallet to about 3.5 minutes per pallet.
Hours of operation?
We are 9 to 7 during the winter, and we are 9 to 8 during the summer.
Anything else?
I think that's all I have, so if anybody has any questions for me.
And you may not be the right person. What instructions do you give employees, and what written policy do you have regarding shoplifting?
So we do not apprehend shoplifters. We're very, very strict. Only the leaders are allowed to make any kind of shoplifting. Even our leaders don't stop shoplifters. We keep our people safe, so they have to follow the steps, but they're not allowed to leave the building. They're only allowed to ask the person to stay in. We have panic buttons, so if they feel like somebody is being aggressive in the store, they can press a panic button to get the police to respond. but they can ask somebody to come back into the building, but they cannot leave the building or go onto the sidewalk.
So just to reiterate, shoplifters are not confronted, they're not stopped.
We'll call the police. So if we see somebody shoplifting, the leader in the building can call the police, and then the police can respond and they can stop them. But we do not apprehend.
Are they instructed to call the police?
Yes,
And then do you have surveillance?
Yes.
Camera? That's recorded, right?
yes.
Thank you.
Does the board have any other questions of this?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just one question. Testimony, you had mentioned cart corrals. Cart corrals is usually 6.
No, there's 3.
There's only one for this application, though, correct?
Yeah, well, I honestly, I don't know the overview. There's 6 spaces back, is what I said, from the front of the building. They're placed
here.
6 spaces back.
Okay.
There, okay, you'll address it?
And depending on the size of the parking lot would depend on how many cart corrals. So some of my stores might have more. Yes, yes, yes.
Right.
Thank you.
I'll try again, please. You testified on the loading dock.
Yep.
So is the proposal to have a, what did you call it, a raised loading dock?
One that a truck can back into, and the employee can walk onto the truck with the pallet jack and walk back into the building. So it would be level with
Yes,
the
I
back of the truck.
totally understand that.
Yep.
Is that existing now, or that's not
I
existing?
honestly don't know that.
No,
Well,
it's,
Someone else gonna testify?
We will
to
address
that?
that, Mr. Fagan.
Would you be the appropriate person to provide some information? I believe you're providing outdoor display areas. Can you kind of talk about what is typically in those? If they'll be out there year-round, if they're just seasonal, if they stay out when they're out there, if you bring them in
Yep.
at the end of the day?
So the only thing that stays out year-round would be the propane tanks, and that's in a locked cage and has barriers around it for safety. During the spring and summer, we have plants outside on racks, and we also have pallets of like soil that would stay out there, and they do stay outside.
And they'll just be on the sidewalk, or that might be a question for the engineer?
If you know.
Yeah, I don't, in my stores that I have right now, they're all on the sidewalk because we have sidewalk space.
So that would be consistent with
Yes.
this store,
Yep.
on the sidewalk.
Okay, thank you. About how often do you get deliveries to this store?
2 to 3 times a week, depending on the volume.
Thank you, sorry.
Is it necessary to have the storage done outside of the facility, like the propane tanks?
So the propane tanks, absolutely, they're not allowed into the building. So propane cannot
Yeah,
come
they
into the
come
building. There's
compelling
signs on the
notice.
door, propane can't come inside. But the plants and the soils, all of the stores that have it on the sidewalk, it draws the attention for the customers to come into the building. So that's something, especially in an area where we're not well-known, that draws our customers into the building.
I'm just concerned the appearance, the propane tanks, and it looked like a rather big structure.
Oh, no, they're actually
Looking at the
pretty,
paperwork.
they're pretty small. They're,
No, not the propane tanks themselves, the
Oh.
structure that it's kept in. It looked like it would be taking up a very large place on the walkway, and it was very, we've tried to maintain a very simple sort of appearance.
Yep.
Personality. And it looked very busy and very big, like it was just placed there with a lot going on.
So, I'm not sure which store, which picture you saw, but usually they're a smaller, I think it only fits 4 tanks across. It has 2 doors. It's shorter than I am, and
It's
it-
very streamlined.
Yeah, it's a pretty small cage. It might look bigger in the picture, but they're really not that large.
So it only carries about 8 tanks at a time?
I would say, yeah, about 8.
Is there, I don't know if the professionals would know, if there are restrictions on use of the outdoor area in that complex?
I don't know of any.
I didn't know if there were any restrictions, any ordinances in place about that.
I don't believe so.
Madam Chair, Mr. O'Connor can, if the board's pleasure, can address that question?
Yeah, so there's no restrictions currently within the center for outside display and propane. The only request what we got from the landlord was that there can't be a tank fill up, but they would allow for exchange, which we do Blue Rhino.
Great.
So between you two, you're the testimony about propane tanks?
Sure.
Okay. So 8 tanks does not sound like a lot to me. In fact, sounds like a little to me. So I'm wondering, is that accurate?
So some of my larger stores have bigger, some of my higher volume stores have bigger ones. My Princeton store, it's a lower volume store, has a smaller, so they will go according to what the volume
Meaning
is.
fewer out at
Yeah.
once?
The size of the
Great.
tank, the cage.
Okay. So we're talking about the cage, not the
Yeah.
tanks.
Yeah, the cage.
Right.
So what is the maximum number?
I want to say it's 24, but I'm not 100%
At this
positive.
store?
Yeah, so I don't know because I don't know the volume of this store yet. So it would be 8 to 16 would be the number.
So this cage would hold between 8 and
16.
maximum 16. That's combination full and empty tanks. What do you do with an empty tank? Throw it in a cage?
Yes, well, they go in to the,
Right.
the cage stays locked and only our employees have the key. So if somebody wants to do an exchange, they
Right.
bring their empty tank, we take it, put it at the bottom. The fuller tanks are in there as well, and when Blue Rhino comes, they swap them out.
Okay.
Do do customers have to purchase the propane tanks inside and then
Yes.
you bring them outside? And, the same for the plants and soil, is all of the purchasing done
Yes.
indoors?
We
There's
actually
no-
even have the numbers inside, so the customers don't even have to bring the stuff inside. They don't have to pick it up. They pay for it inside, go out, and take what they need.
So to clarify, Blue Rhino is the subcontractor.
Yes.
And those deliveries have to happen through the front, right? They're gonna park out in the fire lane or in the parking spot and deliver those tanks, because they can't come through the store.
Yes,
So those deliveries are coming in the front parking lot.
yes.
Thank you.
How often do they occur?
1 to 2 weeks, depending on the sales. So they track the sales, and that's when they come, when they need to replenish.
Once every 2 weeks?
Once a week or once every other
Great.
week, depending on the sales.
During regular operating hours?
Yes.
Is that something, does each of your locations offer the propane tanks for sale?
Some towns restrict it, so I have, I think, 2 stores out of my 10 that aren't allowed to sell, but the rest of them do.
And is that something that you would consider eliminating from this application, is the sale of this propane tank?
No,
Like,
it's
For 8 to 16 tanks, and I'm just looking at it, we're trying to still maintain a certain, again, personality, we don't want it to become a free-for-all, our presence.
We'll make sure,
on-
sorry.
And it just seems like there'd be a lot going on the outside of the store. And between the flowers, which flowers, plants are
Yep.
very pretty. But something like these metal containers is not really something I'm excited to see driving up to a store.
I understand that, and I'll be honest with you, we keep it very neat and clean. I've never had a store that it's been chaotic. You know, the customer comes in, I'd like to exchange a Blue Rhino, the associate goes out, we have the key locked up in the front of the store, the associate goes out. It's a very streamlined transaction. I've never had any problems, but I do get complaints in the stores that I'm not allowed to sell the propane in.
It's an important component of this
Yes,
application.
absolutely, and
not-
it's
not-
on our flyer, like, the customers come there looking for it, so when they come to the store and it's a store that doesn't sell it, it does disappoint them. I've
Well, I
had,
don't know if this is a question for you or for your engineer. The concrete barriers, they're very industrial looking as far as I'm concerned and very generic. Do you have ballards at any of your locations and you can paint them to be the color of your logo?
I
Or
believe so,
think
right?
about, or change, because they're, I think that would be the question
yes,
for an
that's,
engineer.
that's his question.
Well,
Yeah, we have ballards at some of our locations. It really
Mhm.
depends on what the town is looking for. And we're happy to brand them if you'd like. So,
Yes,
yeah.
I don't know how the other board members feel, but I feel that's too industrial, too
Yeah.
cagey. And the Ballards will be more airy. They can correlate with the color of the facade, et cetera, and it can blend in a little better.
Yes, what are you referring to? What barriers are you referring to?
The concrete barriers where they,
In front of the cages?
yes,
Okay.
they have they're proposing concrete jersey barriers for protection. I'm proposing maybe Ballards, because it's a little lighter, they can change the color, aesthetically, it would be pretty.
Just didn't know what you were referring to.
Yep, and it may save, I'm not exactly sure who else has propane, but it certainly will save,
But locally, some of,
you know,
like Home Depot, Lowe's, those are
Yeah.
the places in which
you
they
know,
have. But
I think some of our customers like going into our store because it's a nice, easy experience to just get in quicker, rather than walking into a larger box store. But, I think we'll help out some people who are in need of filling up for their grill this summer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I would agree, I think the bollards would be more attractive than the jersey barriers.
The application has, it looks like there's 3 rows of 3 canisters, so there's 9 in each cage, is that right? And it looks like you have 3 cages on the application. Is that how many you're looking to do? 3 cages of 9?
That's gonna be your question too. To be honest, it's different in all of my stores, so that would be his.
Our next witness will,
Okay, I'll come back. Thank you.
promise.
Hello, Jesse. Is there any more questions? Go ahead.
I have one more question. Just what concerns me is the idea that there's no apprehension of shoplifters because it's an open invitation for shoplifters and it's become a chronic problem in New Jersey in this area. They know where they're not going to be apprehended. And it's gotten to a point where these stores are not coming to court in order to I guess, to help these folks be prosecuted, and it's become chronic. What do you folks do? Do you appear in court for these cases? How many cameras do you have in the parking lot? Like I said, I look at this as an open invitation for these folks to just come take what you want and leave, because nothing's gonna happen.
Absolutely. So, I actually have a store on Long Island that is a high theft store that we've cut. It was the highest in the company, and we cut it down to the lowest in the company because we do go to court. We do react to that kind of stuff. So we were able to put a door guard in there to help prevent. So if we see that it's a high theft area, we as a company will react to that. We had in-store LP that was able to apprehend. So as a company, we definitely do that. And I've actually been present in Zoom calls for court and my regional district LP person as well
So
has gone through.
you
Yeah, we do.
You
We-
assist in the prosecution
Yes,
and don't turn the other way.
yes, exactly.
And you have cameras in the store and loss prevention
Yes.
folks watching in the store
Yep.
at all times?
Yes, their cameras are monitored even at night when we're closed.
Okay, and in the parking lot, what kind of cameras do you anticipate
you
having
know.
set up?
That I'm not sure. That's not.
We'll address that.
That's pretty consistent with the other, retail establishments in the township as well.
I think it's the way most stores are now. I only know that I just served on grand jury, and people were walking out with coats out of Dick's, like 20, 30 at a time, and everybody was just standing there. And then they had these very high-powered cameras, and they were able to zoom in on the license plates, the facial recognition, and they were able to bring them to justice.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, what I'm curious to learn a little bit more about.
Yep, we do have license plate reading cameras as well on the front of the building.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next witness.
Looks okay here?
Yeah.
It's okay?
I don't know if there's any public that can't see it, but if not, maybe not.
Let us know if you want us to move it
We
or
can
show
move
it.
it.
Are you marking these?
We will, we'll,
It's the exact same drawing that you have in your set already.
No changes?
No change.
Just, when you, after you're sworn in, just identify what that
We will.
change is of the existing.
Will do.
please state your name for the record
Peter Ritchie, R-I-C-C-I.
and your credentials, please.
I'm the architect of record.
Licensure and.
I'm
background.
licensed in New Jersey since 1983, and I presented at many, many boards in New Jersey and in other states, since I'm also located, licensed other locations.
Except, ask if there are any questions.
Yes, your educational background, and have you
I
served
have a bachelor's of architecture from NJIT.
And you've testified before other boards?
I
in
most
the
definitely
state?
have.
Okay, do we accept them?
Yeah, unless there's any
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
All right, you may proceed.
So our firm are the architects for Ocean State Job Lot. We do a lot of their stores and have for a long time, I'm happy and proud to say. Can I get up and
Sure.
point at the board?
Yeah, you can use the mic that's in the front here and take it off.
I'll go through.
Just make sure it's
Plan.
on. It may not be on. Before you start, just which page is that of your plans?
Okay. So bear with me, I don't see very much without my glasses. So this drawing is called A1 PB for planning board, dated 3/15/24.
This
It's
is
the
an
exact
architectural.
same drawing, one of the drawings that is in your set.
Yes.
So it's not changed at all. It shows the overall floor plan of the space that is going to be occupied by Ocean State, which was a previous retail store. The confines of the building are exactly what they were. They're not getting any bigger. They're not getting any smaller. Interior, it's gonna get all remodeled with new lighting and such. And, but a lot of the support areas, the bathrooms are all there. They're in very good condition. They'll get things will get fixed if need be and cleaned, of course. But the restrooms are in the rear. They will all remain. The janitor's closets are back there. The front vestibule location is exactly where it is. We're not changing at all. So most of the work is happening inside the building, but there are things that we're coming here and asking you about the rear. About the exterior. I'll start with the rear because it's a little bit less. The rear of the building has currently a loading platform with the roof on it and room for one truck and one truck only to back up. And when that truck backs up, it's still about 2 feet from the floor of the truck to the concrete platform, so there's a lift. It was talked to you about how much that slows up the process of unloading the truck, and it does a lot. Not only that, but we're proposing it to be 2 trucks because it gives the option of the company to drop a truck off, let it get loaded, unloaded, and then take the empty one away. And this is very common, and we're lowering the loading dock so the trucks will be exactly at the same finished floor as the loading platform, which will make the operation happen a lot quicker. That shifts slightly. There's one, this already exists in the back. It's over here. It shifts slightly to the side because the configuration for the truck needed to be worked out. So there was a loading platform with a roof on it. There still will be. The old one will go away and a new one will be built. On the front of the building, we are doing some improvements and operational items for the store to work on. One that was talked about was, I'll start with, you mentioned Blue Rhino. Blue Rhino attracts customers to their business. So it's on the outside, it gets them there. There are three cages, it was asked for. Each cage is 2 foot 4 inches deep by 3 foot 8 inches wide. It's only, give or take, about here by here, and it's approximately, I don't remember exactly, 4.5 feet tall. They hold, if I'm correct, and if I remember, they hold 8 tanks each, 4 on top and 4 on the bottom. So there's 3 of those, so 8 times 3 is, when it's full, will be roughly 24 tanks in there. Okay, and they're all locked up in those cages. We presently show them on this drawing to be out on the front sidewalk. And that's typically where they are, close to the entrance. Having said that, we've already spoke to your fire marshal. And the fire marshal said, I don't like that against the building. I said, I know why, because it's a covered canopy. We would be willing to put sprinkler heads in the canopy and protect them. He said, I don't like that on the front of the building. So we've come, when the civil engineer comes up after I do, he will show you an alternate location where we'd like to put the propane tanks in the parking lot, taking up 1 parking space, and to be protected with bollards, like you asked for. The other things we're gonna do on the front is, on the front sidewalk, we're asking for a car corral. So the shopping carts would be very handy for the customers to come in the front doors, grab a cart, come in the front door, and go out. We also show on our civil plans the, location for a car corral taking up 1 parking space in the parking lot. Most people, myself, I don't use a shopping cart when I go to my supermarket. And you get a shopping cart and you come out afterwards, you load up your car, and if you tell them to bring it all the way back to the front door, they wind up in the parking space. So if they're out in the parking spaces already, they can drop them off the carts, and it's much more organized. And then an employee could take those carts from there and put them on the sidewalk so that the customers who are going shopping could just pick one up and go in. So we're actually asking for the option of 2 corrals, 1 on the front sidewalk and 1 in a parking lot. Okay? The other item that you talked about was the seasonal sales of flowers and outside planting materials. They have this on almost every store. Type thing. It's, again, it attracts people, gets them to come. It's like going to the supermarket, we're going to get milk, and then we get other things. But when you go for the flowers, it gets you into the store and gets you to shop for other items. We have, and this will have it, flower display racks, 5 of them. They're shown close to the entrance vestibule. The flower display racks are 4 foot 5 inches, less than 5 feet wide, by 2 feet deep. And they're approximately 5 feet high, and there's flowers displayed on them. There are also pallets, and there's 6 of those, that are roughly 4 feet by 4 feet, and items like mulch and planting soil and such are on those pallets. Okay, and again, they're seasonable. Those items, the racks and all of those will not be there in the wintertime. So when they go to plow or shovel snow, they won't be around. It was brought up that the doors on the front of the building, if we change anything, we had to present it there. There are currently doors coming in and doors going out. They are swing doors. Sometimes you see sliders, sometimes you see swings. The only thing we're doing is we're taking the doors off and we're putting brand new ones on that are automatic. So when you walk them, the aisle for you, and they'll open up by themselves. They'll be the exact same bronze anodized aluminum as what's there. If I didn't tell you that they were automatic and you stood far enough away, you would never know they were any difference before and afterwards. Okay? Okay. Okay. So this is down here, by the way, this is drawing A 3.2 PB for planning board, the exact same drawing that you have in your set, no change. Okay? On this drawing, it shows the flowers, they're racks, where the flowers are stored on, open so that if it rains or anything, it'll just go right through. And also shown are the cages for the blue rhino. This particular photo that we had, that we put on here, shows 2 cages. We're gonna have 3. But it'll look, that's very close, not close exactly what they're gonna look like. Okay? The front of the store, the biggest, there is no presently any signage on the building. Steinmart is already gone, and we're proposing a new sign. The sign area is based upon the overall size and mass of the building. So the sign that we're proposing, which will be an internally illuminated sign with, the faces of the sign letters will be in red. And the sign is 5 feet tall, 5 feet, understand, we measure all the spaces that are in between the letters as it's a rectangle, 5 by 35 feet or 175 square feet.
And that's a variance.
So
Excuse me?
And that's a variance, correct?
that's,
Yes,
yes.
that requires a variance. Okay, there's also a second sign that we're requesting, which is a new face on the pylon sign. The pylon sign is there. There is an empty spot on it, which I believe was with Steinmart. There's nothing on there now.
That was previously approved.
And that was previously approved, and that sign face, a two-sided face, both sides, will come off and it'll get a brand-new sign face. The exact same lettering, Ocean State Child Lot, will go on that sign on the pylon.
Thank you.
That's the sign number 35 underneath the coal sign.
Yes.
I don't think you're the appropriate witness to ask this question to, but you provided the testimony that there will be 3 propane cages. The previous witness had said that the number of propane tanks varies based on how busy the store is. Is there a potential to possibly have less than 3 propane cages?
All right, so I'll answer how much I can with that. In our experience, and we do this all the time with them, every one of our drawings in every location where we present it to the town shows propane tanks, shows flower storage, and pallets.
Right, but how many, I think your question is.
And they vary.
Right.
And they vary per location. They're not always the exact same number. In this one, we did not decide what that number would be for the tanks. We were given that number by store plan. So is that possibly, could that change? I can't answer that. I'm not the right person.
Okay.
What, go ahead.
What happens with everything you have out front when you close at the end of the day?
Well, at nighttime, it's flowers. Good question. I don't know if I have it. Maybe I'm not the best person, but they stay out there. The flowers stay out there. The soils stay out there. That is not unusual.
Peter, we'll have another witness.
Yeah, I shop at my supermarket, and I know the flowers because I buy flowers there, outside in there, and they're there all night long.
Amy,
So the plants and the pallets do stay out. So once we put them out there, we maintain them, they stay out day and night. We do not pull them back and forth into the building.
And you haven't had problems with that?
Like I said, we have the cameras outside that do have the license plate readings, but we monitor it, and there's very, I mean, I'm sure there's theft, but there's not, substantial where like we're missing an entire pallet the next.
it's not a material problem.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Part of our construction document set of drawings is a loss prevention drawing, LP. It's in my set, it goes to the building department has to approve it for it to get a permit for that also. But that's completely designed by Ocean State for them. And I know that along with a lot of cameras on the inside of the building, there are cameras on the outside of the
Great.
building also.
And, what other signs in that area are illuminated? I'm trying to remember, I don't remember signs being illuminated on the stores.
I'm sorry,
I don't know
can't
if,
answer
I
that.
don't know if, I know that all the signs are different sizes at Holmdel Plaza. I know Kohl's is one size, Villa's another, the Uniform Place is another. They're different colors, but this is gigantic.
And also the illumination, the internal
Right,
illumination
illumination.
is gonna be extraordinarily cool. I guess what we've tried to do for years and years and years is maintain a very aesthetically pleasing, shopping area. We don't want it to become circus looking, we don't want 101 different colors, we have a lot of rules regarding symbols, things like that. And it just sounds to me like we are adding a lot of chaos with what you're presenting to the exterior of that building, something we've tried to protect against for years and years, to maintain a certain personality for Holmdel. The word that's generally used is shanty town, and I'm not saying that your, company by any means, is doing that, but it just sounds like there's so much, you're asking for so much to be on the exterior that it's completely changing the personality of that area. So I'm a little nervous between the sign, the propane tanks, the racks of the mulch and dirt and things like that. Flowers, we love flowers. But it just, again, it seems like an awful lot going on that's completely changing the personality of that area.
Can we find out what the previous Steinmart sign, how many square feet the Steinmart sign was to compare that sign versus
It
this sign?
wasn't there when I went to look at the building. I don't have an
Right.
answer for you. I will tell you that we're at a little bit of a disadvantage of the sign. It's Ocean State Job Lot. I don't know, I think that's 16 or 17 letters, whatever it is. That's the name of the company. If you were Kohl's, K-O-H-L-S, you're 5 letters. So we're at, you can make 5 letters be a smaller sign, and still you can see their sign pretty well. When you have as many letters as we do, it's a little bit more difficult. And there is no quote-unquote logo.
Is this the typical size sign you would have on the front of a building, or do you ever have any that are smaller?
This is
I'm going
typically
to-
what,
I wanna propose.
we are,
Shrink down. Variance required. There.
Peter,
Bob, can you contribute to
let's
this?
go to the smaller side.
I will defer
I'm-
to all the signage to Christine.
okay,
So we do, Madam Chair, we do have Plan B on signage.
I would like to see Plan B because
I'm
this
sure
is-
you would. Which is why I'm offering.
Okay, because this is very, very, I realize it's a focal point. We here in town believe in logos because people work very hard to brand their merchandise. It
I know.
takes a long time to build up.
It does. It
But-
does.
This is.
I
straight on.
suggested just job lot, and that's not going to work apparently.
No. Yeah, it's big. Yeah.
So let Mark see this.
The occurrence is,
The variance they need is,
here it is, right here on this
there
paragraph.
shall be no more than a total of 2 signs per business, including not more than 1 sign per wall. One sign may be a freestanding sign, provided that the lot on which is located is 1 acre or less. The aggregate area shall not exceed the equivalent of 10% of the area of the front of the buildings, including the window and door areas, or 100 square feet in aggregate, whichever is smaller. No one sign shall exceed 40 square feet. So they're proposing a 175 square foot sign.
So, Mr. O'Connor.
Yeah, and on the illumination part, that is pretty consistent throughout all the other shopping centers, and it's just a way of, at nighttime, showing that you're open for business. If you have a sign that's not illuminated, people won't know you're open.
Typically,
We're,
colder-
we're not we're not, we're not.
40 square feet versus illuminated at
Yeah,
175
yeah.
square feet.
I'll let him
when
show the
you
backup. so.
Actually, this is all you see because of the bright red big letters.
Yeah.
So we would love to see option B.
Yeah, so Mr. Ritchie.
Thank you.
Okay. I will say, it was pointed out that there's two ways that the sign area is calculated. One based upon the square footage of the front facade, and 10%, am I correct?
10%, not to, or 100 square feet, whatever's small.
Right, well, the square footage, I'm not gonna argue about that type of thing, but if it's 10% of the allowable square foot of the building, we are well under the 10%.
Right, but then it says no one sign shall
Keep it
exceed
up.
40 square feet.
I'm not arguing with you one bit. We don't comply with that. I'm just saying the 10%. We are a big store, so that is the reason why. So, the store was, we feel that we still need a sizable sign on it, where it's being set all the way back. I'm gonna pass it, I didn't bring enough for everybody. I'm gonna
That's
pass
okay,
a
we can,
couple of these
we can
out,
share.
And I'll hold the one up myself.
So we should mark this as A1.
This is,
No, that's
So-
the one.
No, that's part of the plan.
Oh.
Peter, just describe, is there a date on the plan that you're just,
The drawing that I have is this similar drawing, it's called PB, A3.2 PB, and we're gonna have to mark it because it's not clear. I mean, you want it to be exhibit one?
Yeah, A1.
A1?
You have a copy of the
One back
It's
there.
come down,
What I'd like to show you
it came down a foot, and it's 112 square feet.
in lieu of 5 feet tall, this sign is 4 foot tall. In lieu of 35 feet long, this is 28 feet long. And in lieu of 175 square feet, it's 112 square feet. So a substantial drop. This is the exact same scale as the one you're looking at, above it. So when you put that there, instead, this sign is substantially smaller than the one we originally proposed. So that's what we still need a variance. The sign would be tiny at the size of this building. In scale, it would be out of scale, so we still need a variance, and that's what we're asking for.
But the scale is in where, like, the box is going in. It's not the scale of the whole building, right? Like, I think 4 feet is still quite, so see the square that it's written in?
Over here.
Right. So bringing that down in size, so you brought it down by a foot. Could you bring it down by another foot? And still, because of the large block letters, the illumination, is that still gonna cover a decent amount of the square that it's in?
It's, first of all, anything could be done.
Right.
Okay, that's not the question. The question is, does it work? Does the client feel that when somebody's pulling into the parking lot, you know, they're gonna see, oh, there's Ocean State. It's not like, where are they? And certain stores that are small stores are going to have much smaller signs.
So they are right at the entrance when you pull into Holmdel Plaza also, as you're bringing your car forward.
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, basically one of the anchors in the shopping center.
Yes.
So it has a lot of frontage, and we believe it deserves a little bit more signage.
Yeah, so you should just say what you're looking at, because
Okay.
we don't want a discussion.
are-
It's not-
We are looking at the parking lot right now and Holmdel.
We're just looking at the
Plaza.
existing signs that are on the shopping center and the
Okay.
plaza now, just to see what's currently there. From
I
Google
don't-
Maps.
Even though I've been there, I don't remember.
And how
I'm sorry.
legible they are, how readable, how you can see them from a distance.
And so can you just indicate what you're seeing, Jeff? So
They vary, depending on the location of the store and the amount of room for the sign.
Right.
The existing Steinmart one is there, or the previously existing Steinmart one is there. It
Does look quite a bit smaller than what you're proposing. And then some of the other locations do have larger signs, so it's kind of a mix.
Yes.
So what we're doing is we're getting an actual visual.
Okay.
of signs.
There is a store that has about the same number of letters, and it looks pretty big. It's already there.
Which one is that, just if I may-
Villa Restaurant?
It's Villa Pizza. Yeah.
But it's spelled restaurant, but it's almost
Villa
Villa.
And there's Beach Club Tank, too.
Mhm.
I think maybe if we can find out, I think the idea is to keep all of the businesses in line with what are,
Well,
what they,
Well,
I guess what we've been allowing.
if you look at what Jeffrey's looking at, Angelique Nails, they're one color. 7-Eleven is another. Beach Bum is another. Kohl's is another. Flannery's another. Villa's another. And they're all different sizes. So we can't create a continuity here that I know that you would like to. Anything that's new, we can as they come forward, but this is existing. So we have to work with what we have, and we have to agree on the size that we want the sign to be.
I guess
Uh,
Okay, no, are the others illuminated, is it?
Yes.
So they're all illuminated, okay, good.
In the past, we've been pretty particular about the colors.
Yes.
Well,
Does
Well,
this meet the criteria that we were trying to?
I could chime in. So the Commons in Town Center, they had a specific, limited to 4 colors in the original resolution, no logos. That was done away with in a subsequent global application that Kimco made. But at the time, there were only 4 colors. I do not know if this center had that same restriction. And I'd also would want to ask, when this was approved, was there any issue with signs for the individual stores? Was there some global approval for signage that maybe is already on, on the books? And I don't
I'm
think
not,
anybody knows that answer.
I'm not aware of it,
Yeah.
but I can't guarantee that, but I'm unaware, and we did look at approval, so.
The most common color for retail store signage is red.
mhm,
We didn't make that up, it's been because it's noticeable. If I'm correct, Steinmart was green,
correct.
a green. I
Mhm.
don't know what it's called. So there is variety, not only in the sizes of the signs that are out there, but in the colors of the sign. And I heard, I understand a lot of towns are not big on logos. There is no logo here.
So every one of your stores throughout Pennsylvania, throughout New Jersey, et cetera, New York State, you're identified by Ocean, as Ocean State Job Lot.
That is correct.
Well, then that is your logo.
That is correct.
It's
what
a red,
everybody knows that.
right, it's your trademark or your logo.
And-
It's always a red and white sign. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
correct.
It's another way to look at it.
Okay, that
it's-
identifies you.
No, that's fair, it's a
it's
fair
all
statement.
red.
Right.
That's fair.
In your other locations, like Franklin Lakes, I think was mentioned as one, there's all others, are the signage all 5 foot, like, do you vary based on
I don't,
town ordinance?
so I was the architect for Franklin Park, and part of it was mentioned and all, to the best of my memory, and because I'm happy to say I do a lot of these, to the best of my memory, they were both roughly around the same size.
And what I'm seeing here from the existing stores, there are red signs, and there are various
Mhm.
fonts and,
Right,
letters and logos that are on the building.
right. So that's what, so we can't create that continuity
Yeah, no, I
right
think
now.
mine is more of you tend to think bigger, more visible, but when you get everybody big, it becomes what I call noise.
Mhm.
It's chaos, and you wind up not being able to find what you're looking for because everybody's on top of each other.
Right.
Instead of a little bit smaller where it stands out and you can see them as you go by. Looking at it, my inclination is, hey, what is it that we allow? Where have we given other stores exceptions, variances, and to sort of stay in line with that. So if it's 10% coverage of an area, what is the reason to go beyond that? Or whatever our current ordinance is in
The only
Peter,
thing
do you think this is consistent with the prior signage that, as you recall it? And do you think it works, and do you think creates, and it's a fair, I understand that what you're prophylactically looking to guard against, but do you think it causes chaos in terms of, you put your name behind something and you want it to look good? Do you think it works?
I do. This is 37,000 square feet.
Talking
of
about
space.
Plan B, right?
Yes, and we're talking about Plan B. This is 37,000 square feet. The frontage on this is, forgive me, I should know the number off the top of my head, but it's plus or minus 150 feet. In this area, there could easily be 3 retail stores.
Yes.
It could be subdivided up, and it could have been
Right.
that somebody, and that would be a good working size for a retail store, smaller store than Ocean State, but a store. In that case, you would have 3 signs in this amount of frontage. The next sign on the right is a little ways away, but still not on top of us. This one is in a whole different county. I'm joking, of course.
Well,
Great.
my question to the board is, do you feel the reduction in sign size in Plan B works?
I think if we passed around the photos that we're seeing from Google Earth here,
Right.
the Plan B sign is
Acceptable
consistent with, in
with
fact, there's
everything
other
else.
ones here, existing signs that look actually bigger
Okay.
in a smaller space.
All right, so,
That's
board in
my
agreement?
And there is a a lot of empty space between because of the width or length, the width of the store, right? The frontage. So there isn't a sign these won't be on top of each other. And I think
Right.
this Plan B looks a lot more appropriate for the space, in my
Okay.
opinion.
All right, thank you for your time.
I have a few
you.
questions.
Does anybody, you have questions?
Oh, yes.
I was
Yes, yes,
going
yes.
to make that.
Regarding the sign itself, you talked about being illuminated when the store is open. So is the sign off when the store is closed?
The answer is yes, but I'm not gonna tell you the hours, because that's not up to me. I would rather, the store people tell you the hours of the sign. Somebody do it.
I don't need to know the hours. I just want to, the testimony states that if the store is closed, the sign is off.
There's a timer inside the store that turns it on and off. So it comes on in the morning and goes off, or it comes on in the afternoon when it gets dark, and it goes off after the store closes. So it's lit up for approximately a half an hour to an hour afterwards, just because that's what our parking lot is. It's consistent with our associates leaving.
You mentioned doors. Those are actually 4 sets of 2 doors, right?
2 doors, 2 sets outside and 2 sets inside, correct. There's a vestibule to keep the cold out in the winter and such.
And you testified that those are automatic doors and they're going to be replaced,
That's correct.
right? You mentioned, well, I heard the testimony about, we were talking about the plants and the flowers and trying to keep the front less busy. And you talked about rain, but rain's not going to help the flowers because the whole thing is covered, right?
Yes, you're correct. And I apologize because at some locations, the flowers are literally outside because there either is no canopy on the side or they're pushed out further.
You meant to
towards
say the
edge.
flowers like to be around water, not by hip height.
Yes, they do.
I mean, that's what my mother taught me.
So the flowers would like to be watered, so there's some method of watering these
It
flowers.
will be watered. There is a hose bib on the front of the building and you have to water the flowers daily so they don't die.
So the hose will stay out there.
The hose is put away
Enclosed.
behind the flowers.
Enclosed.
The hose is enclosed. Okay.
Behind the,
It's not laying on the sidewalk in front of where everybody's walking.
Good, okay, that's it, thank you.
thank you.
You know, the one thing was she testified pallets, and I couldn't figure out what the heck pallets were, but that's for the soil and so on, right? That's, so you've got wooden pallets out front with product stacked on it. Thank you.
I have a question about the cart corral in the front of the building, and or the first drawing. My question is, there's a stanchion right where you're building the corral. And do you know how many feet it would be for pedestrians to walk between the corral and that exactly?
And the pilasters?
Correct.
Exactly, I know exactly. It's gonna be 4 foot 2 inches.
4 foot 2 inches.
Right, clear.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Here, or you want to stand up? Good, okay, go to the
Yeah.
mic. Take the mic. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, good evening. My name is Michael Textoris, Textores. I'm with the firm Van Cleef Engineering Associates.
And your credentials, please?
Yes, I'm a professional engineer licensed in the state of New Jersey. I have a bachelor degree from New Jersey Institute of Technology in Civil Engineering Technology. And for about approximately 35 years, I've been testifying in front of planning and zoning boards throughout the state on both civil engineering matters and land planning issues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll-
Thank you.
More than welcome to
You have some
begin.
comments, correct?
Yeah, I do. I must say that most of the comments I've had are pretty much covered already.
Good.
So I'll just be I'll be very brief. First off is the exhibit you see in front of you is Exhibit 1, Site Improvement Plan.
Is this an existing document before the board currently?
No, this is a new plan.
So please read the caption for the board and the public.
Okay, the caption is Exhibit 1, Site Improvement Plan, prepared by Van Cleef Engineering, dated April 16, 2024. And it shows the area of the Holmdel Plaza.
And we don't have that one, right?
No,
You do not.
A2.
A2, please.
A2?
Okay, there's right behind it.
We don't have it.
Thank you.
Okay, quickly, the site improvement plan shows the entire property of 21 acres. It shows the building, the existing building, both the main shopping mall and the bank that's in the corner is approximately 184,000 square feet. The area that we're improving is shaded in red, and that's around 37,400 square feet, which is approximately 20% of the mall. There's some talk, the property has approximately, at this time, 897 parking spaces for vehicles. The zoning ordinance requires 921. So we're in a variance condition here, an existing non-conforming condition. We're gonna lose an additional space because of the corral. We're gonna, again, lose another additional space because of the relocation of the propane tanks.
Yes, can you speak more about that? Because we know nothing about it. I have a letter from the fire marshal, the fire official, there was no comments, and now the propane tanks are being relocated.
Yeah.
And we spent all that time speaking about in front of the,
So much testimony about them being.
right, in front of the store.
Yeah. The
So-
fire marshal, my understanding, and I did not have a conversation with the fire marshal, but my understanding is that the fire marshal suggested that we relocate the propane tanks.
Okay,
So I do have a sketch here. This is Exhibit 1.1, proposed alternate propane kiosk detail. It's prepared again by my firm, Van Cleef Engineering Associates, and dated April 16, 2024.
This will be
So I-
A3.
This will be A3.
right, so,
And if you would allow me, I can pass some copies of this around.
Please.
right, so then so the proposed spaces now drops by 1 to 895.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why would the fire marshal sign off as no comment, but then
I don't know. I don't know why Dave did that. That's what,
I think we sought clarification with the no comment. It was an important issue to us. And then this is in response to that, no comment.
Okay. Who actually spoke to Dave?
Mr. Ritchie.
Okay. Thank you.
So that detail that you have in front of you is at this location here, which is right, or I should say, east of the proposed building renovations. It's closest to the building, so to reduce the distance, people will have to walk with tanks. And again, I believe Peter testified that there'll be a total of 24 tanks, three sets of,
Maximum.
Right.
yeah,
Maximum.
three sets, or three
8.
enclosures.
Okay.
So, you'll also see on the detail that we show some proposed bollards. I heard you early discussing the color of bollards.
Right.
Obviously,
Or-
they're yellow for warning. I guess you wanted to use some type of other color.
Well, when it was in front of the building, I thought that maybe it can aesthetically coordinate with the building. Now I'm finding out it's in the parking lot, but I still would like bollards so people can't drive through them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
So, yeah, but,
Did the
But
fire
I'll-
marshal agree to this location?
I do not believe, no, the fire marshal, I don't believe has seen this location. No. He has not.
Has he suggested, then we really,
He was very clear that he didn't like where they were, which was under the overhang.
okay.
So, and again, as part of this,
He hasn't seen it, 'cause I haven't seen it.
Okay.
again, I
We
mean,
would, of course, agree to meet with the fire official after the fact and meet with his approval to the
Okay.
extent this were to be approved, Madam Chair.
Difficult to approve something in a location if you don't know if it's actually going to be there, right?
I'm not sure that I understand that. We're suggesting this location.
What if the
Okay,
fire
before
official's
we
not
even,
No.
before we even begin with that question, have you spoke to the landlord? Have they approved this?
The landlord has seen the plans, I think they were just waiting for.
The new existing plans with the,
But
they
they've
look-
seen both. I mean, their preference would be that it would be on the sidewalk, but I think they'll be open to approving one in the parking lot.
okay.
And again, I think that could be handled via a condition. If we couldn't get landlord approval, of course, we couldn't do it.
Right.
If the fire marshal objected, we would work with the fire marshal.
Okay, so. Yes, make them both, right, make it a condition. Does the board agree? It's a condition if the landlord doesn't agree, or?
Yeah, you could, as was suggested, you can make a condition, both landlord approval and the fire marshal to that
And Dave.
location, and obviously if not, they wouldn't be able to do it unless it came back to an amended,
site plan?
Understood, yeah. If the fire marshal hates that location, that's not going to happen. Understood.
That's our next question, yeah, because they're asking for one spot to drop because of that to 895. And
So, sorry.
getting back to the propane, they're only got the 3 cages,
correct,
each at 8, 24 propane tanks is only gonna take up 1 parking space?
yes,
With the ballards?
yes.
Oh, they must be, okay. All right, so continue with your testimony, sir.
Well, I'm almost done.
Okay.
Again, we discussed in detail the proposed improvements to the loading dock. There's also a dumpster located in the rear of the building that will also be reconstructed. Now, one of the comments was made by, I believe, the planner. We had proposed a chain link fence. Her suggestion would be to enclose it, have like a masonry enclosure, and we agree to that, we agree to that condition. As part of this application, there's no additional impervious coverage. No trees or vegetation is gonna be removed as part of this application. And there was also a question asked at one time about construction trailers during the improvements to the building. There will be no construction trailers.
Great, thank you.
And that's pretty much concludes my testimony.
Okay, questions from the board?
They're not included in set, but we did do the grading, and we could show profiles. We can make that a condition.
I have a question in regard to the truck ramp, looking at the one that's farther away from the building.
Uh-huh.
Is there still sufficient room for an emergency vehicle to be able, like, if a fire truck had to get through? If that truck is parked there, there's still enough room for an emergency vehicle to get
Yes.
through?
Yes, my understanding of some of these trailers will also be dropped off. That was the reason for the 2 docks. You could drop off a trailer, leave it for a few days, and then you could come back and take, pick up the other. Well, there'll be a full trailer there, take the empty one away, and then later on, come back, drop another full trailer off, and then take the empty one away. So that's the reason for the 2 docks. But there is sufficient room to get emergency vehicles back there.
And that's allowed by the landlord for a trailer to be there for a few days?
I believe.
Yes.
And, yeah, and that loading dock is a large improvement over the one that they're currently using.
Sure, and I don't have any issue, I'm just, the testimony earlier was that it's the type that you folks are looking to install will accommodate loading and unloading
Quickly.
in a much quicker manner.
That is
And
correct.
now, all of a sudden, I'm hearing it's gonna be there for days.
Well, I'm not
That's
saying
why-
it's gonna happen all the time, but it's not gonna happen all the time, but there's an option there. That was the reason for the 2 docks.
Right.
I'm trying to visualize that back area, so I just wanna make certain it's not gonna interfere with other businesses. It's something that's allowed by the landlord, we're not gonna have issues in emergency vehicles.
We looked at that in detail. There's a detail on the plan, I think it's on the last page, that shows the maneuverings of the tractor trailers, how they come in, how they back up, how they stay out of the access lanes. So that's all part of the plan.
I was able to visit the site yesterday, and much more troubling to me in that back area is the condition of the dumpsters. It's outrageous what's going on back there. Obviously, you're not there, but the existing tenants and
Hold-
I've
Wait
been
a
there.
sec.
the condition of those are just
Yeah.
deplorable.
We would address that with the landlord.
So my question is, what's that gonna look like in
Well-
terms of, I understand concrete or concrete block, but I don't understand how the truck gets in. All those dumpsters that are there now are open completely.
Yeah,
None of the gates are closed and half of them are broken.
right.
So just tell me about the new one.
Well, the masonry structure is a lot more stable. I mean, you've seen garbage trucks, when you have a fence around it, a chain link fence with slats, they get hit, they get abused. So now we're gonna have a masonry with a masonry structure with a gate on it.
So it's three-sided?
Yeah, 3-sided masonry and then a gate in the front. So you would open the gate and you would access the dumpster.
A double swing, double
Yes.
gated swings
Yes.
out. So your testimony is that the truck driver, dump truck driver, is going to open the gate,
Yes.
locked or not locked?
It'll be unlocked.
No lock, so he'll just he or she will be able to open the gate,
Yes.
bring the truck in, dump it, put it back down, close the lid, close the gates again.
That's the plan.
Thank you.
But again, I've been back there and I know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
We recommend masonry block trash enclosures across the board everywhere, just because they're sturdier than chain link fence or board-on-board enclosure. They hold up better, so over time they tend to look better, and you don't get as messy trash conditions.
It's more hidden that way. But it seems that over time, all of this testimony kind of goes out the window, and depending upon, well, never mind my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
discussed asphalt, but I believe it's concrete. Let me just confirm that.
Concrete.
Concrete, yes. Yeah, it's, I can tell you, I personally designed it. I think the grades in the ramp is less than 2%. Yeah.
So, Madam Chair, just on the ramp itself, so it's usually a 4-foot high loading dock.
Yes.
So this is gonna be sloped down from the parking lot. The truck will back down a ramp, which the loading dock will be 4 foot high, so that the trailer level matches up with the level of the loading ramp. So you will have a slope that goes down. I believe there's a trench drain that is being
Yes.
provided at the bottom of this loading area.
That is
And then it
correct.
is piped into the existing drainage system at the rear of the property.
Yes, that is correct.
So, you know, this is typical with tractor trailers, as testimony provided earlier. If you do have a lift gate on the back of a truck, it does slow the operation down. This way it allows them to back right into this ramp. And it's a recessed well. So, but as long as they have drainage, I've reviewed the calculations, they're acceptable. It is tied into the existing drainage system that runs along the rear of that parking field, loading area behind it. So there should be no issues with that. And as testimony is provided, there's no increase in impervious area. It's all paved back there anyway. They're just replacing certain areas of asphalt with concrete. So there'll be no impacts to the existing drainage system or detention system that's at the rear of the property. So with that, as soon as their board members are finished with their questions, I'd just like to go through my letter, Madam Chair, so we can just get some additional items on the record.
Okay,
Just, Tom, since it's already a condition that they submit a detail, every detail is subject to Bob's approval. So if there's something wrong with the slope or some drainage, Bob will call that out and not approve it.
does the board have any other questions?
Just one quick question on the loading dock at the back. The distance between the property line or the curb, I'll say, existing curb and the loading dock now. Looks like it's about the same distance, the new dock. Just making sure there's enough room to pass through there.
I'm guessing
I'm judging from that existing,
I'd say about 50 feet.
that existing concrete
Yeah, you know, if you hold on.
curb that's in the center there.
Yeah, I have
It looks about the same distance overall. So just confirming that we're not making it smaller, it's staying the same, basically.
Well, there is an access drive between the loading dock and the,
It looks like roughly, they're adding about 40 feet of pipe from the
Yeah.
well. So you're probably around
I'd say 40 to 50.
20, to the property line or to the edge of that curb line, are we asking?
To the curb, it looks like it doesn't extend any further out than
No,
the
it doesn't.
existing
No, it doesn't.
concrete.
You see the white, you see the striping there,
Yeah.
so it's pretty close to where it is now.
You got about 30 feet, you got about a 30-foot drive aisle between the end of the loading dock and that curb line at the back of that parking lot.
Getting back to the emergency vehicles, would the fire marshal have to sign off on that if there is a variance? Because it does look, I mean, it is what it is now, but
Well, my understanding is the fire marshal has reviewed the plans with regards to the orientation of the loading dock at the rear of the building, and there was no comment.
That's our understanding as well.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And everything is conditioned upon the fire marshal's approval, engineer,
That's-
planner, and so on.
So, Madam Chair, if I'd just like to go through my letter, which is dated February 28th, 2024. It's our first engineering review. On page 2, item C, C1 is a statement. Item C2, if the testimony can just be provided, are there going to be any impacts on any of the surrounding properties or roadways with the approval and/or construction of this tenant space and the handicap, and the loading dock at the rear.
No, I mean, we discussed the pedestrian issues in front of the building. The driveway aisles and whatnot are all gonna remain as they are today. So actually, the site circulation is gonna remain today. There's two access points along Union Avenue. They're full-service access points. There's also one on Route 35. That's a right turn in, right turn out. And those are gonna remain as they are today.
Okay. Item 3 is a statement. I'm gonna come back to items 4 and 5 at the end of my letter. Item 6, I know there's been some testimony, but do we have a dimension on the sidewalk from the face of the building to the curb line at the front? If that can just be placed on the,
It's on drawing A 3.2, and the dimension here is 15'0".
okay. Just wanted to make sure we had that because of what potential displays that are being proposed at the front of the store. Item 7, there's no modifications to the driveways, access roads, et cetera. That's all gonna remain. Item D1, with the elimination of the one parking space for the initial proposed cart corral, and now you're talking about the elimination of a second space
Yes.
for the propane tanks. Will there be any impacts to the overall parking generated requirement in the overall center? Spaces needed for the front of this tenant space? Will there be any impacts to the circulation, the existing parking field, et cetera, with the elimination of these two parking spaces for cart corral and?
I would say no. I don't have to go through testimony with regards to, how people shop in 2014. To shop online. They don't really go to the malls like they used to. So there's plenty of parking out there. I was out there on I think it was a Tuesday morning, which isn't a time when you're gonna find a lot of cars there, but there was maybe 3 or 4 cars in the parking lot. So there's plenty of parking. It's a big parking lot.
So you don't think it'll be an
That's because your
adverse
store
effect?
Yeah,
wasn't there.
I don't anticipate any issues with regards
Great,
to
thank
parking.
you.
That's because your store wasn't there and there was no propane.
He meant to say that.
All right, item D3, I know, do we have an idea of the frequency of trash pickups? And that may be for the operations.
So in peak season, they pick up weekly, off-peak season, meaning in the winter, they pick up bi-weekly.
All right, thank you. Item E, E1, testimony should be provided regarding the impacts to the stormwater system with the construction of the loading dock and the new drainage pipe. Is there gonna be any impacts to the existing drainage system?
No, again,
Okay.
I testified, there's no additional impervious cover. We are providing a drain for the loading area, but that's not gonna increase the drainage. So
Great.
there is no increase in runoff.
Okay, thank you.
And that's just for clarification there, this is all clear to the landlord, the alteration is gonna be.
Yes, absolutely.
Item F1 is just a statement. There's no grading or any changes outside of the proposed loading dock that's being proposed. We just require an F2, obviously when the plans are submitted to the building department, because your retaining walls can be greater than 4 foot in height, that structural calculations be submitted to the building department as part of the building plans.
We agree.
Item G1, sanitary sewer and existing utilities. Do you anticipate testimony regarding existing utilities? Will they be adequate for this tenant space? Do you plan on bringing any new sanitary sewer lines, electric, gas, et cetera, to this space, or
No.
utilize what's there today?
No, we're gonna utilize, the building is serviced by public sewer and water, and we're gonna use the services that are provided.
Okay. If you can just, I know you touched briefly on the landscaping, that there's no additional landscaping. What about the lighting within the existing parking field? Is that gonna be adequate for
We
this
did-
tenant space?
Yeah, we did not look at the existing lighting. As you all know, it's an existing facility. We're going to occupy a vacant space, so we did not go into large details about existing lighting and things like that. I mean, there is lighting out there. It's obvious. There's poles, there's fixtures and things like that. But we're not proposing any changes to that as part of this application.
Okay. Item J3, additional details, would they be provided?
Yes.
Okay. Item 5, item 5, 6, and 7 are just additional notes to be added to the
Yeah, we'll comply.
site plans?
We'll comply
And
with
then
that.
any outside agency approvals?
We have not submitted, no requirement for freehold soils. We don't see any requirement for the DEP, environmental protection. We've approached the fire official,
So
Union
we
Avenue.
agree to comply.
You just agree?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to, I'll find it on my sheet. That would be page 2, section C. Item 4, number of parking spaces. Obviously, we were asking for initially a variance for the elimination of one space for a cart corral, and then a second elimination of a second space for potential propane location. Now, I'm going to ask you, would the applicant be willing to looking at the number of handicap parking spaces that are distributed throughout the parking field? There's about 10 of them in front of the Kohl's. There only appears to be 2 of them in front of this store. Would the applicant be willing to designate potentially 2 additional ADA spaces in front of this tenant space?
If the landlord agrees, we would be amenable to that.
Okay, and that would, because of the drop-off space, would then require the elimination of another
Correct.
parking space. So
That is
you'd be
correct.
down 3 parking spaces. So
Which
just
you would need.
if you can work that out with the landlord. Now, just to muddy the waters a little bit, going back to the propane location, and then with some of the displays on the sidewalk, it was testified that the displays on the sidewalk would be just flowers and pallets of mulch, etc. Is there any possibility of shifting both the propane and the pallets, potentially the rear of the property, somewhere adjacent to where the loading dock is, with directions to your patrons that that's where that pickup would be? Just a thought, this way it's not out in the front.
We really couldn't do that, Zero.
Okay, that's, I just wanted to get it out there. And then just further, if we can get just, and again, it may not be for the engineer here, just further testimony on what displays may be out in front of the store.
I thought we
mean,
hit that. Are you-
Is it just flowers in the mulch?
I think the testimony, unless, Mr. O'Connor, unless I'm missing it, I think our testimony, is there something else that we, upon reflection, that we omitted that would be? No. I think
Okay,
we're-
that's
I
fine.
I
No,
would
f-
just ask, kind of, just to jump
Sure,
the
go
gun,
ahead.
if you could just confirm the areas shown on the site plan is the extent in which the outdoor displays will be. It won't, creep further down the front of the building. It'll just be in those areas as shown on the site plan.
That is correct. It's substantially similar.
Madam Chair, that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Uri. Does the board have any additional questions for this witness?
Great. Our last witness,
Thank you.
Ms.
You're
Cafone,
welcome. Thank you.
are you ready? Where do you want to go? Please state your name for the record.
It's Christine Nazaro, Nazzaro, Cofone, Cofone, Business address is 125 Half Mile Road, Suite 200, Red Bank, New Jersey, 07701.
Your credentials, briefly?
Yes, I'm testifying as a licensed professional planner. I've been testifying as such in the state of New Jersey for 28 years now. I've been qualified here in Holmdel Township before both your planning and zoning board, as well as about 450 other planning and zoning boards throughout the state. I teach planning and zoning courses for the
Great.
Rutgers Center for Government Services, and my licenses are current and valid.
Thank you.
Please
You're
proceed.
welcome. The variance relief associated with this application includes what appears to be now down to a reduction of 3 parking spaces, reducing our parking from a required 921 down to a proposed 894 from 897 that exists on site today. And then, of course, the signage area. We need the variance, which we're down to 112 square feet from 175, so almost 40% down from what we were asking for when we came before you this evening. And then for the number of signs, because the way your ordinance is, you contemplate that pylon sign because it's two-faced, even though that was already previously approved as 2 signs. And then we have the wall sign, the Ocean State job lot, so then no one business is allowed to have more than 2. So that's the relief that we're seeking. Statutorily, the board can grant this relief under the C1 or C2 section of the municipal land use law. C1 meaning a hardship relating to some shape of the property or the lawful pre-existing structures thereon. So with an existing parking deviation, I think we could look at the C1 for that as well. But in the absence of any hardship, you can grant the variance relief under the C2 section of the statute. And that's in the absence of any hardship if we advance 1 or more purposes of the municipal land use law and of course meet the negative criteria, the board can certainly grant the relief. So I have had an opportunity to visit this site in conjunction with this application and on probably no less than 100 other times in my life, having visited Flynn O'Hara, the Villa Pizza, the Kohl's Shopping Center. And my office also reviewed historical aerials going back to 1995. I personally cannot ever recall a site when I had a time when I had to visit this site when I was not able to park and park conveniently. So that is based on my experience visiting the site, and I was there as recently as Saturday, and reviewing historic aerials. So I think that the board will not even realize that there is a change in the parking program associated with this. So I see certainly the board can grant that variance with no substantial detriment. As far as the signs, I know you were looking at the signs on Google Earth earlier. In my opinion, if you were looking at those signs on Google Earth and what you were looking at had that old green cursive writing Steinmart sign, it probably didn't have the current sign, because I believe that the signs are even larger for Kohl's that are associated with that. And that's largely because Kohl's now has the Sephora brand with it. So if you were to draw a box around the existing sign for Kohl's, and Kohl's really has 2 signs because they have the one that directly faces Union Avenue on the main entrance of Kohl's that has the Sephora underneath it, and then they have on the side wall, sort of facing the Villa restaurant and Bella Dental going in that direction, there's a Kohl's there, a Kohl's sign there. So I have a hard time from a planning point of view finding that the signage proposed by this applicant is out of character with what exists on the center today. The signage today, the Bella Dental is green, Flynn and O'Hara is green, Villa is
Red.
yes. Villa is red. So I think we're certainly in character. So I think you can look at positive criterias. A, promoting the general welfare. That one I say because Mr. Textoris indicated to you, this is a 180,000 square foot center, and we're taking about 37,000 square foot, so 20% of it that's currently sitting vacant. So from a planning point of view, I think certainly repurposing that with a permitted use in the zone is promoting the general welfare. And then also criteria G, which talks about sufficient space in appropriate locations. We're located in the C1 zone here. We are an as-of-right use. Also allowable in the C1 zone is a retail farm market, which is defined as a use having, amongst other things, flowering farm products and other goods which are compatible with, complementary to, and ancillary to agricultural goods. So having the flowers and mulch here, to me, is not going to be radically out of character with the C1 or the intent of the C1 zone, which reads at section 30-146 of your ordinance, the purpose of this district is to provide an area for either commercial or industrial develop in an area with major highway access. So this site has access directly to Route 35 and to Union Avenue. So I think we're certainly consistent with the stated purpose of the C1 zone. We're also consistent with a number of purposes in the master plan here in Holmdel, which was recently looked at in 2020. Two of them specifically, which talk about facilitating a positive business climate in Holmdel and providing opportunities for non-residential development and local employment where appropriate, and also to support economic development by facilitating continued viability of existing commercial development along the Route 35 corridor. So I think this is a situation where, we have a center that has 20% of it vacant. We all know, whether your planner's up there evaluating the applications or planners reviewing or planners testifying, we know that brick and mortar stores are struggling mightily in the state as a whole. So I think anything we can do to repurpose our centers with existing permitted uses or non-permitted uses that make sense. In this case, we are permitted. I think certainly we're not going to have a deleterious on your zone plan or the public good here in Holmdel Township if the board were to move favorably on this application.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do our professionals have anything to say or want to?
No comment
Any
from me.
questions?
No, I think Christine's testimony was very thorough and
Okay,
covered
thank
everything.
you. Any questions from the board for this witness? Yeah. Okay, I would like now to open
Thank you.
this portion of the meeting to the public for questions and comments. Questions first, and comments limited to 2 minutes. Is there anybody in the building that would like to make a comment or question? Then I close that portion of the meeting. Okay, discussion among the public board. Anybody have any thoughts or comments? Do you want to move to approve this with certain conditions based on?
No, I'm fine, moving to approve this with certain conditions. The conditions that we discussed,
Based on landlord?
They'll be outlined in the resolution, but I have my count 16 of them.
Okay.
As we went through. So
It's pretty
we'll
good.
send it to you.
I had exactly 16.
Perfect, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah,
Please come up. Your name, but you have to walk up to the mic. Come on, honey.
it's a question, you don't have to swear in, but if there's
Right.
a comment.
Is it a comment or is it a question?
No, it's a question about the traffic.
Okay, you have to be sworn in, and you have to
No,
also,
For a question, we don't have to swear you.
oh, that's
So
right.
So just state your
Your
name.
name and
Yes, my name is Michelle Serini, Serini. And I'm concerned about the traffic coming out of Union Avenue and also coming from the side of the Bright houses. Are they gonna come out from the side to Union Avenue, or they're gonna come from 35? And going into 35, I'm familiar with the area. When I go into 35 to 7-Eleven,
Yes.
it's very hard to make that turn fast as traffic's coming behind you. So you're talking about
You're
trucks.
talking about right after Chipotle.
Right there.
Okay.
So when you come and make that right turn, it's like cars are right on your back and you have to make it real fast to get in.
So
So
what-
my concern is when they bring the trucks in, not the trucks that go in the back, but the trucks that go in the front, putting flowers or whatever. How big are those trucks coming and how fast are they gonna go so the traffic can
That's a-
keep moving?
That's a question for their engineer and our engineer to
Okay.
answer.
And then also if they go through the side, there's a lot of traffic. People can't even get out of there. Even if there's 2-3 cars, we wait from the bank to get out. And, putting a light would just be terrible, having lights back and forth, because
No.
like,
Right.
you say no, but I just know that it'll be facing the public, it'll be facing homes. So to have a light this way and a light that way is
No,
gonna create
well,
a
we don't
bigger
have the
problem.
authority. That would come from the state or the county.
Okay.
It wouldn't come from the planning board anyway.
Yeah, we're not
So-
changing the traffic flow to
Right.
that extent, yeah.
Because it's gonna
So-
bring traffic and to get out, in and
So
out,
do you,
it's quite hard.
okay, 1 second, because you really told, do you feel that, Bob, that there's gonna be a tremendous impact to the traffic entering, egressing onto Union Avenue, and also we have the new development coming from, Brightview, but do you feel that this is gonna play a big impact with this new retail
I-
store
I-
coming
I
in,
do
any
not.
more than Stein Mart
That would be
or
wonderful,
TJ
but I've
Maxx
been
did when,
25 years, so and I see the difference already.
because TJ Maxx was there, Stein Mart was there, will it have that in it?
So the good thing is, it looks like all deliveries, way this center was originally designed, most of the truck traffic is gonna be coming off of Route 35. There is a separate entrance at the northern part of the property that brings your tractor trailers right into the rear of the building, for their loading and unloading. They will then continue to traverse in a northerly clockwise direction to that far north, driveway, and then they'll actually make a right onto Union Avenue, take yourself right back up to the traffic light. Anybody that's coming internally where the parking field is, again, you have a right in, right out, right off of Route 35, just past the gas station. That will bring everybody across the front of those stores, whether it's a parcel post truck or a small box truck. Again, if they want to go back out north on 35, they can circulate through the parking field and go, to make a right turn on 35. If they have to go south, then they have to come out onto Union Avenue. Again, as was testified, this was existing retail space in the Stein Mart. It's going back with retail space in the exact same footprint. The business model from the testimony seems to
And you
indicate.
never saw any trucks with Stein Mart in the front of Stein Mart?
Ma'am, she's,
Oh. We never saw any trucks in the front at all, only in the back, because my
Wait,
friends worked there, and they only came from the back, never in the front.
And again, I think the majority of the deliveries, trucks will be at the rear. You may get it.
I'm just saying to get in, there's traffic. So if
Yeah,
there's
well-
cars on 35 coming, there's more traffic than usual, they might have to slam on their brakes, because I see it now, that I'm driving just to get in, there's cars behind me, and I have to go
okay,
as fast
well,
as I
you're,
can
now
to
you're
make
going
that
into a
turn.
comment instead of a question.
No, and I understand
No,
that.
No, that's like a question.
I know,
yeah.
but no, you have to keep,
And Madam
keep it in the
Chair, I
question.
don't think that, any trucks that may come to the front of this store, I don't think there'll be any major impacts. You're not talking 3, 4, 5 trucks a day, you're talking maybe 1, 2 trucks a week. I don't think there'll be any impact, and the site is
I guess.
designed to
Okay, I
handle any
understand.
truck
And I
traffic.
do
in
see a
front.
lot of bicycles and kids riding bicycles there, so that's another concern, what goes on there. All right,
Thank
sounds
you.
good. And just the Bright House, which way will they be going out? From 35? You don't know?
No,
That's another thing. Will they go, everybody's going out 35?
but that's not
going
this
in 35?
application.
I'm not familiar with that
Oh.
establishment, I apologize.
That was the first one we were speaking about. So no
Right.
one knows which way they're gonna go in and out, even though they're building
This-
all those
It's a separate
apartments.
application that came before
Oh,
this
okay.
board.
Oh, we'll find
Wow.
out then.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
But thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Okay, I'm gonna close that portion of the meeting and move on. Yeah, you ready?
I have some comments. Comments?
Oh, you have comments?
Sure,
Oh,
sure,
I'm
sure.
sorry, I opened that part.
Okay.
You to us and I closed it, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay,
Open it?
please, Ross.
Wes?
Wes, oh my God.
So, as far as the parking is concerned, I think there's plenty of parking on site. I don't think the deficiency in the parking is really an issue. The loading dock with the 2 trucks, at the height we're talking about is a good idea. Getting involved in, lift gates is a recipe for disaster. You're much better off having a flat surface for especially people that aren't trained in that arena. As far as the signs are concerned, that space has almost no rules. It looks like everybody just did just about what they wanted to do. All colors, all sizes, all logos really existing. So getting back to Kim's concern was the what it looks like in the front. The busyness of the flower racks, the pallets, the hoses. So I'd like to see that more defined in terms of how much area that's going to take up at any given time. The planner gave testimony that, what would he call it? Agricultural shops, what do they call those? Flower centers. People are trained to kind of take care of that stuff. This doesn't seem like the employees are horticulturists. So generally, when August comes around, everybody's bought their flowers, and these become a little bit messy, you know, the flowers are dried out, they're just hanging out there.
Well, we can put a condition that they're removed as soon as possible, but I don't think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, is this very similar to like when you go to Costco? They bring in the flowers seasonally and then they take them out.
Yes, it is.
I think that's what we're looking at. We're looking at tulips in April.
It's not to our benefit to have it not look good.
Right.
I mean, that sounds basic, but it's true. If it looks untidy, it's not going to bode well for our customers or for us.
So if Costco is the model.
I didn't say that.
No, I said, is it going, like, seasonal, like bring them in and take them out?
Costco's a good example of the way that happens, right? If you don't get it when it's first out there, it's gone.
Well, I think the question was whether it was seasonal and they take them in and out. I don't think the chairperson was saying, are we modeling after Costco? We would,
And if they're dead, they go.
So we have local vendors that we work with.
little louder, thanks.
Into the mic.
Say that
Speak
again.
into the mic for you. Sorry. We have local vendors that we work with, and they take great care in coming by and making sure that they look well on top of,
Okay.
you know, our employees who come out and consistently water them. But
Why
they're
do you
ma-
use local vendors?
Because they have stuff that's local. Make sure that they're not dying, because if they're dying, we're
Right.
losing out to other retailers who sell it.
Great.
Same as the ShopRite.
Yeah, like ShopRite. You know, there used to be a Best Market down the street. They also sold flowers. We're very similar on the display.
So, was that agreed to, that there will be a defined area for this outdoor stuff? Is that
Yes.
gonna happen?
Yes,
Yes.
Thank you.
that's one of the conditions. They have to define it and stay within their.
Is there any other discussions or questions or comments before I close it? Okay, that portion is closed. Okay. And anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion
Thank you.
I'll second it with the conditions that we outlined.
with the conditions that Marty
Okay.
has noted.
So the motion is to approve this application with 16-plus conditions in the resolution that have to be complied with. Am I correct?
Correct.
And it was second by Ron.
Ready?
Can I have a
Mr.
roll call, please?
Mr. Ackerson?
Yes.
Ms. Lamountain?
Yes.
Mr. Fagan?
Yes?
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
Mr. Emma?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Pelosis?
Yes,
Ms. Polvina?
Yes.
motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Wood.
you.
Thank you to the board and thank you to the professionals.
Just a case. By the way, it's never good. That is, I missed one. If we agreed on the number,
Nice
then
to meet you. Okay, and where's my agenda for the next item on the agenda? Okay. Item 3 is administrative approval. Item 3, Kimco, Holmdel Town Center. Review application to split an existing vacant tenant space into 2 new tenant spaces within Holmdel Town Center, previously approved by the TRC on March 13th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Jeff?
Jeff? Mr. Ackerson?
Yes.
Ms. Lamountain?
Yes.
Mr. Fagan?
Yes?
Mr. Mann? Mr. Emma?
Yes.
Mr. King? Ms. Pelosis?
Yes.
Ms. Polvina?
Yes.
Okay, any professional reports, planner, engineer, you want to tell us anything?
Glad to be back.
Okay,
No report for me. Glad to be here.
okay. Well, glad to have you, and I'm glad I can say, all in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.